Well, after the waters receded, Noah commanded all the animals, "Go forth and multiply." Well, the ark quickly emptied, except for 2 small snakes who stayed behind. And when Noah asked them why, they replied, "Well, we can't multiply, we're adders." Well, Noah, being the resourceful man that he was, immediately got busy cutting down trees and building a large table. And the snakes were overjoyed when Noah picked them up and placed them on top of the table. For Noah knew that even adders can multiply on log tables. Alas, the adders were 21st century adders and hadn't even heard of log tables. So Noah sent forth for his friend Moses to bring him the 10 Commandments, for he knew that these adders would surely be able to multiply on the tablet. Well, Jesus says in verse 14 of John's 3rd chapter, "Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life." Jesus is making a rich and powerful reference here to an Old Testament passage which would have been familiar to his hearers, and which he uses to make a crucial and life-giving statement here, in turn setting the scene for what comes later, 2 verses later, probably the most famous verse in the whole Bible, which we'll come to. Well, in the book of Numbers, chapter 21 in the Old Testament, Moses, that's a cross between Moses and Noah. Moses is leading the people to the Red Sea, and they're so fed up they start complaining about God and complaining about Moses. "There's no bread, no water," they cry. And because of their moaning, God sends venomous snakes which bite the people and they start dying. So the remaining people come to Moses and say that they're sorry, and they ask him to pray that God will take the snakes away. So Moses prays to God, and God tells Moses to take a snake and put it on a pole. And anyone who's bitten by a snake can look at this pole, this snake on the pole, and they'll live. So Moses does just that. He takes a pole and lifts up the snake, and just as God said, those infected by the snake bite could look at it and not die. Of course, it wasn't the snake on the pole itself which was the source of healing. It was the power of God. But it is a reminder of the strength of symbolism. And that's the context for Jesus when he says, "Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life." Well, the whole of humanity has been infected by a deadly disease. I'm not talking about COVID-19, although clearly many people have been infected. Sadly, many people fatally. But I'm talking about sin. Every single one of us is ridden with sin. And just as for the people of Moses, the only solution for them was to look at this snake lifted up on the pole. Well, in the same way, God has provided for us just one solution. Jesus was lifted up on the cross as the place to which we can all look for healing, for salvation. In our own strength, cursed with the fatal illness of sin, we're on a course to death and destruction, unless and until we look to the cross and place our faith in Jesus Christ. We can blame who we like, of course, and we do live in a culture of blame, don't we? We've seen it again this